What's up everybody, my name is Excrabular. Today I'm going over the easiest characters to play in Marvel Rivals. These are the 1-star characters and they include tanks, DPS, and healers, so every type of character. This is the perfect tutorial for any new players or people who just want to learn a new character really quickly. So let's get started. First off, we have Scarlet Witch. Now, she's extremely powerful. She's actually played by a lot of the top players just because she is so easy to play and she does a lot of damage as a DPS character, which are the characters that are doing damage. The tanks have lots of health and the healers do healing. I'm going over all three in this tutorial. But basically what she has is she has a left click that creates a chaos bubble in her hand, as you can see, and it will latch on to any nearby players and instantly damage them, and it does a lot of damage. You don't even have to look at the person if you're going to try and kill them, so it's really useful. You can actually look almost entirely away from them and it will still be doing damage. So this is an extremely powerful ability. It also has an extremely long reach. As you can see, it will reach very far away, and although it doesn't reach through things, it can reach very, very far away. So then we have the next ability. That is her left shift. You might have seen me just do it to get up here. She enters a phase state with free flight. So if you press left shift, then you can fly, and you see enemies see a little red bubble, and so they know where you are. But it's very hard for them to hit you because you cannot be hit. When you're in this state, you become invulnerable, so you're pretty good once you do it. You also can do 2 at once, so once this reloads, I'm able to do, for instance, I'm fighting somebody, they're coming after me, I hit shift, I can go up here, and then boom, I can hit it again and get even farther away. And now they don't even know where I am. Scarlet Witch has another ability. This is her stun bubble. And when she throws it out, it will stun enemies in there when they're moving, and as you can see, it is pretty powerful. You just hit E to do it. It doesn't do any damage, but it is very useful if you're trying to take out, for instance, if there's somebody in a doorway, then you can throw it down and it will stun them and keep them from getting out. It's also very useful because it means that they can't do any kind of damage or anything, so you can kill them very quickly with your left click as they can't get away. Then we have her space. This is literally just she falls slowly. A lot of characters have this. Some of the other characters I'm doing in this tutorial also have this. So it's a very common ability, but it is useful. Then she has probably one of her most powerful abilities. That is her right click. So she throws out this explosive chaos energy fireball, and it will do a fair amount of damage. And yeah, you get to have 4 loaded up. So as you can see, it's down in the middle. And it just sort of reloads on its own. So once you get into a fight, if you hold left click, then you can periodically hit right click, and you can actually take people out very quickly. As you can see, I just got a triple KO. Then finally, her final ability is of course her ultimate. Now if you don't know what an ultimate is, basically it's just a super powerful ability that characters can load up to 100%. So what her ultimate ability is that she starts flying and she starts charging up chaos energy, and then it will explode after a few seconds. However, it is very loud, so a lot of people have that trained in their head where if they hear it, they're immediately going to try and find you and kill you before you can come out and kill them. Because basically what it does is it has a giant radius and it will just instantly kill anybody in it. So as you can see, if I hit the button, you can see it takes a few seconds to load, and then bang, triple kill instantly. However, if you do have it charged up, for instance, if you've charged it up to 100% and you see enemies there, you should hide so they can't quite see where you are, and then come out and try and kill them. Of course, I was too far away, so you might want to be for instance, behind this pillar, because they will be trying to kill you if they hear you do it. Next, we're going to be going over the Punisher. Now, he's the gun guy. He shoots, and that's all he does. He's just a shooting guy. So he has 2 types of guns. His normal left click fires both of them, but you can switch between them by scrolling with your scroll wheel, or you can just press 1 and 2, as I am currently doing. So his normal rifle is he just shoots it, and as you can see, it actually does a fair amount of damage if you can land headshots. However, some people don't have the best aim, so they end up just kind of shooting like this, and they really can't get the other person. They might get like 1 or 2 hits on them, but they really can't get them. So you want to have a good aim with him, which makes him a little bit more difficult, but he has some really powerful abilities that more than make up for having to aim. So his other one is his shotgun. This one is a lot easier to use. You just have to get close and then you shoot, and as you can see, it does a lot of damage. At very close range, you can do a ton. However, from far range, it doesn't do as much. So as you can see, these guys haven't taken damage, and they are very they have a lot of health. So as you can see, that took a lot of as you can see, it doesn't do a lot of damage, but once you get close, you can do a lot, especially if you're landing headshots. Then we have his left shift. This is sort of just like an extra movement thing. So you press left shift, and if you're looking at a vertical wall, so it doesn't work if you're looking at something like that, or if you're looking at the ground, but if you're looking at a wall like alongside you, then you can do that, and it will instantly pull you along and throw you into like the wall or whatever. You can also reuse that by pressing F, and it will just bring you back along the wall. And interestingly enough, it is whichever way you're looking. So if I'm looking this way, I'll go that way. And if I'm looking this way when I do it, then it will go that way. So it's useful, and you can place these, for instance, at your spawn and use it. And then, for instance, place another one and then use that one. And you can kind of set up like a little system where you can get back to the fight really quickly. Then we have his E. This is probably one of his most powerful abilities. Like, this is really useful. He presses E and he turns into a turret, and this has 600 health, and it sort of blocks damage from enemies. And so what it does, if you go out here and I press E, then he can actually block damage, and as you can see, I'm not taking any damage, but the turret is taking damage. Once I press left click, bang and bang. I almost feel like when I first was playing against Punisher, I thought that was his ultimate ability, and I was really confused why he was getting his ultimate so fast. But it is simply his E, where he drops in a turret and he can just wipe people out. It does require aim, and the shots do take a little bit longer than his other shots, but as you can see, it is extremely powerful. So then we have his right click. This throws a smoke grenade and it throws him back. So as you can see, it throws a smoke grenade like that. And it is useful if you're in a fight. For instance, you switch to your shotgun, you shoot somebody, and then you use that. It does damage to them, and you can kill them, and you can get away at the same time. So maybe you switch back and you can keep taking out people. So Punisher is really powerful overall, and he would be just as powerful. He would be perfectly fine. However, he has a ultimate ability, which is extremely useful. When you press Q, he gets these 2 massive guns that he can use. He also shoots out missiles from the back of his like thing, and basically he can wipe people out so fast. If you target this at a pile of enemies, you can just instantly eliminate them. And like Scarlet Witch, if somebody hears this happen, they're instantly going to be trying to find you just because of how powerful this is. So even though the level 1 characters, the 1-star characters, you might think they're not going to be great because they're really easy to play, they're actually very powerful. Punisher is also played by a lot of the best players in the world.
Anomaly, but I'm not a mutant. And please don't ask me what the difference is, because I don't know.
Next, we're going over Squirrel Girl, one of the most annoying characters in the game because of just, in general, her normal left click. This is so powerful. It shoots these acorns that explode and do so much damage, and they'll bounce. So as you can see, they'll bounce a few times and then explode, so they don't even have to hit somebody. So for instance, if I go like this, it will bounce and hit the person and do damage. This is really powerful. She has a few abilities. She doesn't have a lot of abilities. Her left shift, she can jump into the air like this. It's pretty useful if you want to get away from a fight. She has an E, which reloads her burst acorns, and she can use another ability without cooldown. So what she does, she hits E, and then she can use, for instance, her left shift or her right click, which I'll show you in a minute, and she reloads her burst acorns. Then her right click is she launches an acorn, and this basically just holds an enemy still. So for instance, if I jump up here and I hit this guy with it, then he'll be stuck like that. It does a little bit of damage, and it's useful if you want to take out like enemies. And then finally, her ultimate ability is she creates this horde of squirrels. It's very useful and very, very annoying, and unfortunately it can be stopped. A lot of ultimates in the game can be stopped by killing the person or just by killing it. So what you do is you press Q and then you can shoot it. However, it can be stopped if they shoot the head, you know, the big white squirrel. As you can see, it does have a little bit of damage taken, but it has a lot of health and it's hard to stop as it does a ton of damage. Next up, we're going to be going over Venom. He is a super powerful tank that a lot of really good players use. I think that he is one of the best tanks in the game, and he's really easy to play. So first off, he has a left click attack. This attack is just a normal attack, but it does 4 tentacles that come out one at a time. So it goes bang, 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 bang kind of thing, just a little bit faster. So as you can see, it does 4 different attacks. So it helps if you can't aim very well. For instance, if you're going to be attacking someone who's moving and you accidentally click too far ahead of them, then if you're staying still, you can still get them with some of the tentacles. It does mean, however, that you need good aim to be able to do a lot of damage because, for instance, if there's somebody standing still, you can get them with all 4 and bring down their health a lot. But if you are clicking and then moving away, then you're not going to get them, and you might only get them with like 1 or 2. So it does require more aim, but you can get them, just less damage if you don't have good aim. So then we're going to be going over his shift. This is Venom swing. So basically it's a lot like Spider-Man because he is technically Spider-Man. He's a Venom. So he can swing. So you just aim somewhere and then he can swing. However, unlike Spider-Man, he can only do this once. Spider-Man can do 3 different swings and they reload pretty quickly. His reloads quickly, but he only has 1. So use this for like getting in or out of fights. It's really useful. Then he has an E, which is probably one of his most powerful moves because it is so annoying when I play against a Venom. For instance, if a Venom takes damage, then what the E does is it will generate bonus health depending on how much they've lost. So if he's lost a lot of health, he'll get a lot of bonus health, but if he's only lost a little, he'll only gain a little. So if you can see, I've gotten down to 325. If I hit E, then I'll go up to 995. So it's a large amount of extra bonus health. However, it does, as you can see, it starts to run out quickly. But it is really, really useful for if you're in a fight and you're about to die, you just hit E and bang, you got instant health. And for instance, then you can hit shift and just swing out of there. Then his F is his frenzied arrival. So this is commonly used with the shift when you want to get into a fight or when you want to move quickly. For instance, if you use shift and then you're falling and you hit F, you do a diving strike and that knocks players and it will also bring them up and inwards towards you. So that's really useful. You can then get them. And then he has another move which is extremely powerful. It is his right click, and this grabs enemies and then it will damage them if they can't break free, and it will also make them slow. So as you can see, I grab them, does a little tiny bit of damage, but then it does a lot if they can't get break free. However, if they do break free, then it doesn't do anything. And then he has a passive where he can crawl on a wall, just like Spider-Man. When you're at a wall and you hit space, you can just crawl on it, and you can also click like Spider-Man to run on the wall. He's a little bit slower, but he is pretty much a lot like Spider-Man. So one really good combo with this guy is that you hit shift and then you hit F, you fly in, you right click and grab them, and then you try and stay near them and attack them, and you can get them like that. And if you want, if you miss a hit, or maybe somebody has extra health, for instance you're fighting a tank, then you can use his ultimate, which is one of the weaker ultimates in the game. But what it does is he goes underground and then he'll come up and he'll chomp them, do a lot of damage, and get bonus health. but it doesn't do a ton of damage. It's not an instant kill like most other things. So generally people will pair it with his other abilities to be able to get extra damage out on enemies. The other tank that is 1-star difficulty is the newly added Thing. He is actually a good tank. I haven't seen any of the top players playing him because he is fairly new, but I know a lot of new players play him because he is very easy to get a hold of, and he's just easy to learn. So we're going to go over him. So his first move is his left click. This is just a punch. As you can see, it does an okay amount of damage. You gotta land a lot though to kill someone with just 250 health. So it's not the best move, but it is good if you're in a fight. You can like kind of whack them. Then he has a left shift. This, he charges forward. He'll knock people into the air and do damage. And then once he stops, he'll slam down. So as you can see, you hit shift. You can guide him, almost like driving a car, and then he'll slam down like that and do damage. So once I can land it on an enemy, bang, that guy goes flying up. And what it actually also does is it keeps enemies from using movement abilities. So this would be a left shift sort of thing. It would also be, for instance, Venom's left shift swing, or any other ability that gains like extra movement than just walking around and jumping, which is really useful because he is a combat sort of dude. He doesn't have any kind of range stuff. So what if you can do is hit them with that, and then they're stuck there. They can't swing away or get away, and you can get them all. Then he has an E. He'll jump towards an ally and give both of you damage reduction. So if I head up here to my allies, then if I hit E, I can fly to this guy like that, and we both get damage reduction. So it's not the best move, but it is really useful if you're getting out of the spawn area and someone's ahead of you. You can just hit that, for instance, get a little bit farther ahead, or you can do it if you see an enemy taking a lot of damage. For instance, the other tank, which he sort of like supports them, but he doesn't do any healing. Then he has a right click, which does a haymaker, and I'm going to turn off the cooldown, or turn back on the cooldown, just to show you that it actually has no cooldown, and it does a lot of damage. So this, if you land it on a headshot and you get it right, you can do about 1/3 of their damage, or their health. So it is very, very useful. So one really awesome combo for the Thing is you hit left shift, you go flying over here, you're trying to take out an enemy, you slam down, and then you hit them with a couple haymakers like that, and you've gotten them. Finally, his last ability is his passive. He just can't be knocked back or launched or pulled or anything like that. So for instance, if I head over here to the hero chooser, hero simulation, and I select, for instance, I select the Thing, and then I choose Spider-Man, and then I try to grab him, he'll get stuck, and he can't do anything for a few seconds, but he won't actually move. Now, as you can see, I'll just show you another character. If I hit it, then it will pull them towards me normally. So that makes him extremely powerful. It means that you're not going to be getting thrown around the map, because of course he is the Thing and he is really, really heavy. Then finally, his ultimate ability, when you press Q, he'll do clobber in time and launch people into the air and do damage like that. It does about half their damage, but it's not that powerful because it doesn't insta-kill them, and it doesn't do any kind of like damage over time or anything like that. So it's not the most powerful ult in the game, but if you want, you can land a couple haymakers after that and try and take them out. That's it for the Thing. So now we're done the tanks and the DPS, and we're going on to the healers. There is three healers that are 1-star. So that is Mantis, Rocket Raccoon, and Jeff. And we're going to be going over Rocket Raccoon first. So he is actually a good healer. He has very simple abilities. He's probably the best healer to start out with for new players because he doesn't require a lot of aim to be healing, and he doesn't have a ton of abilities to overwhelm you. His normal left click will just shoot his gun in a straight line, as you can see. And if you land headshots, it actually can get them pretty low very quickly. It doesn't shoot actually really fast. It might look like it, but as you can see, you can still miss your shots if you're going over even slowly. So make sure that you have good aim with this guy and that you're shooting like just ahead, because they're not super fast. Then he has a right click. Basically what this does is it will heal teammates that are around. So for instance, I can shoot it over there, and as you can see, these guys are getting healing. So one really funny strat for Raccoon is just to sit somewhere and just spam right click. You just hold down right click and you can just keep everybody up like that and not worry about them dying. It's not the best strategy because you obviously want to be doing other things like doing damage, but generally Rocket Raccoons will just have right click held down all the time just so that they can constantly be healing people. Also, what he shoots out, these orbs, they can actually bounce 8 times, so you can actually bounce them pretty far along the map. For instance, if I bounce them off this wall, it can go bounce, 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 and keep bouncing, and possibly even get over there to heal them. So then, after his normal attacks, he has some abilities. His left shift, he has 2 jetpack dashes that he can do, which go in the direction he's looking. So for instance, if I look up, bang, and then bang. It's pretty useful if you want to get out of a fight because it is very fast. For instance, if you're healing someone, then you can get up close to them pretty quickly. Then he has an E, which is his BRB, his Battle Rebirth Beacon, and this drops out armor packs and rocket jet packs, and it will also heal or respawn one person, but then it will be destroyed. So as you can see, I throw it down, it drops down armor packs. If you pick it up, you get an extra 25 health, just like bonus health, and it will also respawn one person. So as you can see, Galactabot is now back in business. It has a really long reload though, so make sure that you're throwing that down every single time you have it loaded so it can reload again, and you can keep your team in the fight. Then he has 2 passive abilities. One, he can fall slowly, which is a common ability everybody, almost every character has. And then he has a wall climb that he can do. This is actually a very fast wall climb compared to someone like Spider-Man or Venom. So you can use this in combo with your left shift and get away very quickly from a fight if you're taking damage. And then for instance, you can jump back in and hold right click. Then finally, Rocket Raccoon has one final ability, that is his ultimate. It is CYA or SIA. It's his Cosmic Yarn Amplifier. I'm not sure what that means, but it gives allies a damage boost. So as you can see, if I throw it down, this dude is going to be doing extra damage. Not a ton of extra damage. As you can see, I also get extra damage. It's probably the most useless ult in the game. Whenever I see it placed down, I don't even bother to destroy it because it has a ton of health, and also it's not helping out the enemy very much. It doesn't heal them, it doesn't give them speed or anything like that. It literally just gives them damage boost. So that's it for Rocket. Next we're going to be moving on to Mantis. She is an interesting character to say the least. She has sort of like 4 life orbs that she reloads and she uses for a lot of her abilities. So how you can think of these is like her energy charge. Her normal left click doesn't require it, so she just shoots energy thorns like that. And as you can see, they do a lot of damage. If you can land headshots, they do a ton of damage. Also, if you're landing critical hits, which is when you're hitting a headshot, then you're going to be gaining a life orb. So let's go over her abilities. Her left shift, she throws a spore and that sedates an enemy. So as you can see, if you land it, then it will make the enemy fall asleep like that, and they can be damaged and killed. Very, very useful. I've actually had this happen to me while I'm doing an ultimate as Spider-Man just yesterday, and it was very annoying because the Mantis landed that sedation, and it was very annoying because I had to stop my ultimate, and it actually canceled it, so I wasn't able to do it, and then I died. So then we have E, which is Allied Inspiration. So what this does is you use a life orb and it gives your allies a damage boost. I'm just going to go over here to my fellow Galactabots and give them a damage boost. So this guy is now getting a damage boost, and it's a lot like rockets. It's just does a little bit extra damage. As you can see, he doesn't do a ton of extra damage, but maybe you want to put it on somebody like Hawkeye and get those final kills. Then she can also do an F. That is the same sort of thing as giving the allies a damage boost, but instead it gives Mantis a damage boost. So you hit F and suddenly you're doing extra damage, and it's still 3 hits, 3 headshots to kill someone, so not a ton of extra damage. But for instance, if I hit that person and then I give myself damage boost, you can see a little bit of a difference, not very much. Then she has a right click. This is probably one of her best abilities. She can use a life orb, and that heals teammates just over time. Also, as you can see down right below my crosshair to the right of Mantis, you can see the 4 life orbs, and those get used every time I use an ability. However, I can reload one by landing a critical hit. Then she has a passive. She gets a movement boost when she's not injured, and she also gets healing over time when using life orbs. So for instance, if I go here and take some damage and then I use a life orb, then I also get some slight healing. Then finally, her ultimate ability, not the best ult, not the best healer ult, but it's not bad. It gives allies around you healing over time and movement boosts, and then also bonus health. So if I hit it, then it will keep them alive for 7 or 8 seconds and then give them bonus health. However, as you can see, it's not super powerful because it doesn't last as long as some of the other ults, but you can use it to help out your teammates. Then we're going to be going on to Jeff. I love Jeff. He's probably my favorite character in the game just because of how funny he is and how cute he is. I could say that a lot of the community would agree with me just because he's really fun to play and he's very cute. So he's a very powerful healer that shoots out a normal left click jet stream. This is a joyful splash, and he can actually heal enemies very quickly with this. He can also heal multiple enemies or allies at once. So this is very, very useful. If you got a bunch of allies trying to take people out in a line, then bang, you can keep any of them alive at once. This is a unique ability. No other healer has this, where they can heal multiple people in one go, so it's very useful. Then he has a right click. This shoots out these explosive water things, and they actually do a good amount of damage. If you land them on the enemy, then you can see it does a good amount of damage, and he also shoots them very fast. Bang, bang, bang. Then he has a very few abilities, but they're very powerful. He has a left shift. This gives him healing, and he goes a little bit faster. So for instance, if I go right here, take some damage, and I hit left shift, I get a good amount of healing, and I go faster. He also has a smaller hitbox here, of course, so it's very hard to hit him. So if you're doing something like this, a dodging pattern, then it is hard for enemies to hit you, and you're getting healing. So whenever I see a Jeff like this, I don't really ever bother to try and kill them unless I have some sort of like explosion or auto target attack, because there's no point. They're just going to heal and I won't be able to land any of my hits. Then he has an E, which creates these bubbles that he can put out like that. And once an ally or him touches it, it will explode and heal anybody in a small radius. It also launches up enemies and gives you and your allies movement boost. This is very powerful. He can have 6 loaded at once. They do, however, take a good while to load. But as you can see, another one has just loaded. Then he has a passive ability. He takes less damage from critical hits, and I think it's pretty obvious. It's called Oblivious Cuteness, and it's just because he's so cute, he doesn't take damage from critical hits. And then finally, one of the most feared ults in the game is, of course, it's Jeff. So he hits it and menacingly will grab people, eat them, and then just take off with them. He gets about 5 or 6 seconds with them, and then he can throw them out like that, and then he can maybe like kill them. He can also pick up allies though, so you want to be careful that you're not throwing your allies and your enemies down into the void. So what you can do is when you have an ally, you will actually have a left click and a right click that you can use to throw them out. So if I grab an ally, then it's a right click to shoot out an ally and a left click to shoot out an enemy. That's it for the video, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I spend a lot of time on these videos, and I'm going to be making lots more, so make sure you turn on the bell notification. If you did use this tutorial to learn any new characters, make sure you let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.